Russell Wilson getting traded to the Denver Broncos was one of, if not the biggest acquisition in football this offseason. So far, they've been one of the biggest disappointments of the NFL season. Their lackluster offense, a struggling Wilson, and a horrible game management by first-time head coach Nathaniel Hackett are all valid reasons for fans to leave early in the middle of a game they still have a good chance to win. Well, maybe that's a little bit extreme, but we must go into a deeper dive as to why they're struggling and if their struggles are fixable mid-season. But before we start, make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. I just want to thank all the supporters out there for helping me to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're only going up from here. This is just the beginning, so everything will be better from here, quality-wise from here on out. I promise y'all that, and the consistency as well. So stay tuned for that. Also, down below in the comments, comment which team and or players y'all want me to talk about next during this NFL season going on. What type of breakdowns y'all want me to do? What type of talking points should I bring up? And just video topics, man. But without further ado, let's keep on going with this video. Before we actually get to the struggles by Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos, we must take a quick look back at the expectations heading into the season. On March 16th, Wilson was traded to the Broncos for essentially Drew Lock and Noah Fant, and this was a huge blessing for the Broncos, considering the fact that since 2016, the franchise was cycling through quarterbacks like how Hackett is cycling through horrible play calls. Are all quarterbacks that have started for the Broncos in one point in time over the last 6 years, and they've combined for a 39-58 record in that 6-year span. It only took the Broncos 3 years to reach that same win total mark with Peyton Manning, so they for sure missed that spoiled quarterback play. During that 6-year time frame, the defense got worse over time, but much of that had to do with the anemic offense that was plaguing the franchise. The thought process was if they could somehow hit on a quarterback, that they can do some damage in the AFC, especially in their division where needing an elite quarterback is essential. That's where the excitement came in for Russell Wilson once he got to Denver, but as we all have seen so far, it hasn't exactly worked out. Now let's look at why. Well, for starters, it was reported 2 weeks ago that Russell Wilson had suffered a partial lat tear, I think, near his shoulder, or a shoulder injury in a game versus the Raiders, and he's having to deal with that injury ever since. I'm no doctor, but a shoulder injury shouldn't cause you to miss wide open receivers. Before we go into a deeper dive into Russell Wilson's struggles, we have to talk about how bad Nathaniel Hackett has been so far as a head coach. First off, since the NFL is forcing us to watch the Broncos on primetime every week, we have no choice but to point out the glaring weaknesses and the inexperienced decisions that Hackett has made when it comes to game management. Against the Seahawks, they had a minute left with 3 timeouts to potentially convert a 4th and 5. No, they decided to let the clock run all the way down, then call a timeout, not to run another play, but to kick a 64-yard field goal, which of course they missed. Throughout the season so far, game and clock management has been absolutely horrifying to see, so bad to the point where Hackett had to bring in a guy to advise him with game managing. And for as egregious as the clock management has been, that's somewhat understandable due to him being a first-time head coach, so he's having to make these decisions for the first time really. But what's not understandable is how anemic the offense seems to be at this moment in time. Considering the fact that Hackett is an offensive guy coming from the Packers under the Matt LaFleur tree, you would expect the guy to know what he's doing on the offensive side of the ball. Maybe he does know what he's doing and the players don't know what they're doing, because Hackett came out and said that he looks to simplify the offense moving forward. At the time, the Broncos hold the second worst offense in the NFL in terms of points. They're in the middle of the pack in yards, however, at 18th. What does that say? That means they can't execute in the red zone. Honestly, if they can figure out how to convert those field goals into touchdowns a little bit more often, they'd be far better off. Also, stalling out on drives in general is a huge concern. They only convert 30% of the third down attempts, which is second worst in the league. I also believe they aren't using their weapons to their full disposal, and it sucks to see even more now because the Javonte Williams will be done for the year. But Cortland Sutton, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, guys like that need to be utilized even more, as they can really do some damage to opposing defenses. But that hasn't been the case so far. Hackett has a ways to go as a coach, and we're going to see if he can improve over the course of the season, or else his job will already be in jeopardy with a win now type roster. As for Russell Wilson, this is just as, if not more, disappointing for him because we know what he's capable of as a player and we've seen much better. The question is now, is he washed? My answer is no. I do think there is some slippage, however. I don't think he'll be back to an MVP type player that he was in the latter half of the days in Seattle. But I still think he has the potential to still be a very, very good quarterback, one that could potentially lead you to a Super Bowl. And it looks exceptionally bad when the new starting quarterback in Seattle, and Geno Smith, is outshining him right now. Obviously, Hackett has been a huge reason why Wilson has struggled so far, but Wilson has been getting in his own way as well. Last Thursday night, he throws a horrible interception in the red zone when a field goal would have put immense pressure on the Colts to go down and score a touchdown, which they hadn't done all game long. Horrible decision by Wilson to put the ball in harm's way like that. In the overtime drive of that same game, he misses KJ Hamler on a wide open slant at the goal line on the last play. They ended up losing, of course. And like I said, I'm not a doctor, but a shoulder injury isn't impairing his vision. According to Pro Football Focus, he's 26 out of 32 quarterbacks with a 59 PFF grade, and he's only had one game where he was at a 65 grade. Every other game, he's been below that. I think he will improve as the season goes along, like I said. I refuse to believe this is the way he's going to go out as a player. The other stuff around him isn't really helping. He's having to adjust to a new team, new system, with a novice at head coach after his head coach was Pete Carroll for 8 years. Javonte Williams being out for the year along with Tim Patrick, Garrett Bowles won't help the situation right now, but with what they have, this should still be a very respectable offensive team. And it should hurt the most for the Broncos because their defense is absolutely elite this season. They actually have a top 5 defense despite their horrible offense. The defense is 3rd in yards given up, 4th in points per game given up. Actually, they're top 10 in the league in red zone percentage, passing yards given up, sacks, yards per play, and 3rd down percentage. Just imagine how scary this team would be if their offense was somewhat respectable. We'd be talking Super Bowl contenders, maybe front runners. But with how bad their offenses looked, coupled with how good their defense looks, the upside I see for them is a little above 500 team, 9-8 being the best possible scenario in my opinion right now. But maybe they can prove me wrong. At the moment in time, though, I am comfortable with saying 9-8 is their ceiling at this point. But y'all let me know in the comments down below who's most to blame for the struggles right now for the Broncos. Is it Russell Wilson, Nathaniel Hackett, a good mixture of both, the lack of explosive players, which I don't agree with, but y'all let me know what y'all think, and can they turn it around, because this defense is absolutely elite. Can't let it go to waste like that. So are the Broncos able to turn it around this season? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know y'all's record prediction for them at this point down below, man. And like I said, let me know any video topics y'all want me to talk about, players, teams, things like that, things going on in the league right now, and I'll make a video on it. So, but other than that, this is Jimmy from Just the Facts, and I'm signing out. Peace.